Hello everyone and welcome to today's short session, Student Sign Up 101, which will focus in on new student application and enrolment steps for the upcoming 21-22 Chartered Accountants Ireland ACA programme intake. So my name is Sinead Hamilton. I'm no doubt a familiar voice and face to many in terms of actively showcasing and promoting the ACA qualification and I suppose chartered accountancy as a career choice. But today I'm delighted because I'm going to be joined by my colleague Anastasia, who is also a regular face in terms of promoting the profession and supporting prospective students with information all about the Chartered Accountants Ireland programme. And she is kindly going to share all her wisdom on the overall, I suppose, application and enrolment process to help you better understand what to expect. So, Anastasia, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hi, Sinead. I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here today.
Well, it's great to have you along. And I think it's just really good opportunity to maybe just better inform our viewers on what's involved in signing up to the programme. And I think perhaps just breaking things down, walking everyone through all the processes, might be a good way to approach things today. So let's talk through all the steps, cover all the bases, all the typical FAQs that you and I would get. So
sounds great.
Start at the start. Let's do it. Firstly, okay, if I am dealing with someone or you are dealing with someone, they want to know about chartered accountancy, they want to know about the ACA programme, where do they start?
So they start, there's actually loads of places where you can find information on the programme. First and foremost, there is our own website, so charteredaccountants.ie. There's loads of information about all the pathways to take to qualification, what your exams are like, and it's split between routes to entry and all sorts. Then we also have this amazing hub called becomeacharteredaccountant.com. This one is a website specifically dedicated to, again, how to become a chartered accountant. You can watch a presentation which is narrated by yourself there. You can also see numerous different testimonials from our members and also students, and they come from all walks of life. They have taken different paths to qualifications as well. They are, absolutely a variety of careers, and they're doing amazing jobs. And so you can watch those little clips there as well, and just to get a better flavour of what it's like to be a chartered accountant, and also get their reasons as to why they've chosen it as well, and what took them to where they are now. We also have a dedicated email account called info@charteredaccountants.ie, where you can email any of your queries to us and we'll help you along. You can download our brochure on our website as well. You can call us. You can follow us on Instagram. There is also a contact us form on our website, and actually, by doing so, if you're filling out one of those forms, do make sure you sign up to our marketing communications, and because you will then be able to stay in touch with us, we'll be staying in touch with you about any events that are coming up. And those events are open days. For example, during the summer, we run a number of open days. They're all virtual now in this new world that we live in. So if you sign up to those, you will be getting notifications of when those are. So I suppose in a nutshell, these are all the various forms that you can use to find out about the profession and qualification.
So many forums, so folk will not be lost when it comes to having an ability to find out about qualification.
That's so true.
Well, we are at the stage then of maybe somebody has got all the information and they're happy, they want to progress with things. If they want to sign up, what is the next step? Anastasia, what do they do?
Of course. So it's actually a very simple process. So first of all, you need to create an account on our website. Again, very easy. And then once you've created an account, you navigate to an application page, student application page. There is actually a very handy video there that explains to you what to do as well. There's also a PDF file as to guide to applications that you can follow step by step. But basically what you do then is you submit your what we call application for eligibility and exemptions. Whether you are seeking exemptions or not, it doesn't matter. The process is exactly the same. So whether you have exemptions or expecting exemptions or just want an entry into the course, you just submit that one application. It's quite short. It just asks for your personal details, your name and address, and then it just asks you to put your prior qualifications in. So your degree or your professional qualification that you're applying with. And then once you submit this form, you will receive an email confirmation that it's submitted, and it will detail the next steps that you need to take. And the next steps is for you to share your transcripts of results with us for each year of your study. Say if you did a 3 or 4 year degree, we'd need to see transcripts of results for each year of that degree. If you did, say, an ATI qualification that took 2 years, again, is those year 1 and year 2 exams that we need to see. Or if it's a professional qualification, again, it's just the transcripts of your results. But the most important bit there is that the results can come directly from you. So you need to be sharing them electronically, but they need to come from either your university or your college or your professional body, or there is a service called Digital Record. So some universities use that. So if you are able to share via Digital Record, that's what you would be doing. So it's like a third-party sharing website. And then once we receive that, your application gets processed, and you will, then hear from us once it's approved. So it is pretty easy, and it's most importantly as well, it is completely free of charge. And there's absolutely no obligation to enroll. So if you're thinking about it, you're still not sure, you want to check if you have exemptions and how many exemptions, there's no charge or obligations for it. So whether you're claiming exemptions or not, you don't have to pay anything. And, if your application is approved and you decide not to pursue it, maybe this year, maybe you postpone it, there's no obligation to actually then enroll on the course.
Yeah, so it makes absolute sense to go through the process, understand your starting point in any case, and maybe just staying with that process. Could you give me a bit of an indication? It's a frequently asked question. How long does it take? And in terms of students knowing at what stage they're at, are they kept up to date, or how does that work?
So in terms of how long it takes, it really does depend on the background of your prior qualification. And what we call is there are more straightforward applications, there are less straightforward applications. The more straightforward applications would be if you have an accredited degree. You either already know you have an accredited or you're doing an accredited degree. And if you're not sure, that you can use our online exemptions guide, which is on our website again, that lists all of our accredited courses. So if your course is there and it's accredited and you're meeting the criteria, you will be able to get those exemptions. It's pretty straightforward then. Same with any prior qualifications that we accredit, like ATI qualification or ACCA qualification, for example. Again, those will be more or less straightforward. Or if you are coming from an unrelated background completely, could be an unrelated degree in science, for example. You're not seeking any exemptions. As soon as we get your transcripts, it could take from 1 day to maybe up to 2 weeks when it gets really, really busy in the middle of the summer. So do allow at least a couple of weeks. However, if you are applying, for example, for exemptions, but you haven't done an accredited degree, we will need a little bit more information from you, not just your transcripts of results. And those applications will take a bit longer. So allow about 4 to maybe even 6 weeks for them to be processed, especially in the middle of the summer when we get hundreds and hundreds of applications in, and quite a small team working really hard to process them all. So do allow up to, I would say, for any application, just think 2 to 6 weeks, just to be on the safe side. But majority of applications would take just days to approve. In terms of progress, you can check the progress of your application on your portal. So when you've created your account and submitted your application, when you can actually log back into your application, and it would have a status in it. So you can always say, you can always check what the status is. And you will be notified as soon as the application is approved, and you will get an email, a notification about application being approved, whether there were any exemptions awarded to you, and what the next steps are, which would be enrolling on the course. So these are kind of in a nutshell what the next steps would be.
And I know, obviously, in terms of that account status that you mentioned, that can change and there are different statuses. Would you mind maybe talking us through those for the benefit of folk tuning in?
Of course, yes. So once you submit an application, you will see the status saying it's submitted to CAI, I believe it says. So once that happens, then once we receive your original documentation, which now comes online, sometimes you might see that original documentation received status, which means we've acknowledged that it's there, but maybe the person who's dealing with the application just haven't started processing it yet. So it's like an interim status, I suppose. Then you move on to in progress. So I think a lot of you would be seeing in progress a status while your application is being reviewed. It normally gets reviewed by two people. So somebody has checked it, somebody has, done seen that you might have exemptions. It gets passed on to somebody else for double checking. So there'll be in progress there a day or two, however long it takes. Then you might also see a status saying awaiting documentation or maybe further information required. And what that means is you would have actually by then heard from us as well. So if we received your documents and there's something missing, maybe there's 1 year missing of your degree, or they haven't come through directly from university, maybe you've sent them yourselves. Which means a member of our staff who looks after your application will contact you to request the missing information. And they will change the status to this awaiting documentation. And then last but not least, the best status to get, I suppose, is approved. There is also rejected status, but there's hardly any applications that get rejected on a yearly basis. And those that are rejected they do not meet the minimum requirements. And I would say most people would check that they meet minimum requirements before they apply. So there shouldn't be any worry about that. Just make sure that you are eligible before you apply. So yeah, then you get your approved status, and at that stage you get that email then to say that it's approved.
And what's the next step? You've been told you're approved. What do you need to do next? Or is there anything you need to do?
You do. Well, it actually depends, I suppose, on which pathway you're taking. So the next step would be enrollment. And enrollment typically opens in July and runs up until sometime in September. So this year, the deadline for enrollment is 13th of September, 13th of September. So by that stage, everybody should be enrolled so that the course, all the preparation, all the books distribution happens. You get on proper onboarding as a student before the course then kicks off sometime in October. So that enrollment process depends on the pathway. If you are applying via a training contract, if you've got a training contract with a firm or a business, once your application is approved, because your application is actually linked to your employer under the employment contract, when your application gets approved, you get an email, but also your employer gets an email as well. And it's then up to them to enroll you on the course. So you don't have to do anything. You just need to make sure your employer enrolls you on the course. And then, you'll get your documentation further on to say that you are enrolled. Whereas if you are a flexible route student, then once that email to say that your application has been approved will actually have a link for you to click on, which will take you to the enrollment page on our website, and you are responsible for enrolling yourself on the course. And that just involves you selecting the subjects you want to take, enroll for. What happens is maximum allowable amount of subjects will be pre-selected for you. So say if you are doing CAP 1 and you're doing all of the 5 subjects on CAP 1, but you want to take just the minimum, which would be financial accounting, law, and one other subject of your choice, you just deselect the ones you don't want to do. Same with CAP 2, if there's an option for you to split them into 2 years instead of taking the 4 straight away. Again, you just deselect the ones you don't want to do, enroll on the course, you pay the fee for the ones that you want to enroll, and that will get you then enrolled on the course. So that's the next step from getting your application approved.
And for those in the flexible route, it's just prompted by card payment then at that stage of enrollment, the fee pay?
Yeah, that's true. So you do need to pay by card or on that enrollment page, and there will be an option for you to select either to pay everything upfront or to split it into installments. So there is a interest-free installment plan that you can select, and if you select that plan, it will actually give you the dates for your next payment. So your first payment is typically about 40 to 50% of the total fee that you need to pay, and then the remainder then split into two more equal amounts. And your second payment is typically due 120 days after your first payment. So the day you enroll would be your kind of first payment. So 120 days, so that's about 4 months. So you've got about 4 months to the next payment, and then I believe it's another 60 days to your third payment then from your second payment as well.
Oh, super. Well, it's great to have those options for folk.
Definitely.
And we've sort of touched on it already, but just for the benefit of folk listening in, how do they know they've definitely enrolled, whether they are training contract or flexible route?
Of course. So the two ways you would get a communication about that from ourselves that you are enrolled, but also a whole new area of our website will be open to you. It's called the current students, and when you go on it, there's some areas there that you can't see at the moment because they're locked, but once you become a student they'll be unlocked, and there's actually a menu there that's called My Enrollments. So if you clicked on it, you will see which subjects and exams you are enrolled on. So that's a way for you to, especially if you are a training contract student and it's out of your hands, you don't know whether your employer has done it yet or not, you can actually just check by going onto that my enrollments page within my current students menu on our website, and you will see whether you are enrolled on anything or not.
Oh, brilliant. It's really useful, I think, to touch on that, because some people at the last hurdle just want a bit of comfort. Am I enrolled? Am I not?
Of course.
And what happens if folk have queries along the way? Because they might do. So what should prospective students do in terms of reaching out to us, or who should they contact?
Of course. So we have a couple of teams that work on answering the queries. If you are a training contract student, so if you've got a training contract already sorted and you're applying under training contract, you just need to, ask some questions about it. Or if you've already applied and you just have a query about your actual application form, whichever pathway you applied under, whether it's a flexible route or training contract, you need to email studentqueries@charteredaccountants.ie. So it's all one word, student queries. However, if you are applying as a flexible route student, or if you're just wondering, which route to take, or if you need to find information on just in general qualification, if you need more information on flexible route or pathway to take, you're just not sure, you just want to speak to somebody about it, then please email info@charteredaccountants.ie. I would always say, we also have phone numbers. I would always encourage people to email in first, because there is quite a lot of information to process. And I think I find it easier if we share information with you and you have the time to process it, and you then, ask specific questions about, whatever you want to find out, because we can arrange a phone call with you. We can ring you ourselves. That's absolutely no problem. We can chat to you at any time, but do get in touch with us via email. That would be probably the easiest option that gives you all the information.
And I suppose in addition to that, I know I feel sometimes some queries in behind the Instagram via DM and that, but those email addresses are typically where we direct those major queries or specific circumstances, or where we need to share a bulk of information. But any of the channels are access points to us. We more than welcome your queries.
Exactly.
And we'll direct you to the right way. And before I let you go, Anastasia, what about summing up with, is there any final tips or do's or don'ts when it comes to application and sign up?
Of course. Let me think. I suppose one of the main things, and to make sure that your application is processed on a timely basis, would be just don't forget that you cannot yourself send us the transcript. We will not. I know sometimes it's tempting to just even see, I sometimes, give people instructions and they come back saying, could you just have a look at this? Will this be fine? I can't, unfortunately. say to people and guarantee that that is fine. The rule of thumb is, as long as you have a level 7 degree in any discipline and you passed it, or you say have done ATI exams, or you have come from at least a level 7 qualification of professional qualification, you should be eligible for entry. It's just a matter of supplying us with that documentation by the right channels. Yeah. So please always make sure that you get whatever, whether it's a professional body, whether it's in a university, college, to share the transcripts with us by means that we ask you to when you submit your application. Also, don't forget that basically when you do submit an application, you get given a student number. And you will see it there once you submit. When you log back into your application, you will see a 6-digit student number. Please always quote your student number in any correspondence with us after you've applied. Obviously, if you're corresponding with us before you become a student, there's no student number. But if there are queries because you've already applied, please always quote it. Again, it just helps us to pull up your application there in front of us and see what's going on and what we can assist you with. And what else? I suppose, again, check status of your application online, I suppose, before contacting us as well. If you have applied, and you might be prepared that it might be a couple of weeks at least before you hear from us. So I suppose don't try and panic that you haven't heard from us if it's like a couple of weeks past. Do log it back into your account and into your application, see if the status has changed. I would say if you have submitted an application and you requested your college, university to send us your transcripts, and it's been maybe 2 or 3 weeks and the status haven't changed, then do contact us, or even maybe a week later. First, check with your college that they've sent it, and if they said yes, then do chase it up with us, because then there's maybe something fallen through the cracks. But apart from that, I suppose these are all the do's and don'ts and tips that I would, and don't be afraid to ask us questions. I think I might have forgotten to mention, we also have live chat function on our website as well. So that's another way to talk to us is live chat. So again, it's actually you can even choose which team to talk to. So you can talk about flexible route or applications or training contracts. So you can pick when you go onto live chat. Again, if it's a quick enough query, probably the best way to just quickly ask a question. So, and don't be afraid to ask us questions. We're here to help you along the way. And there's a lot of information to process. It is an easy process, but there's still a lot to kind of process. And it's an important decision to make as well, signing up for a professional qualification. So we want to make sure that you are happy with your decision, and we'll guide you all the way with your application and help you along. And and we are looking forward to seeing many of you as our students soon, hopefully.
Brilliant. No, absolutely. As you say, we're very much here to support and to give everybody all the information they need so that they make an informed decision and they're happy, as you say. And maybe just one thing I'll add to all those final pieces of advice and tips is, sooner rather than later is, a great recommendation. Get those applications. As Anastasia said earlier, it is non-obligation, it is free of charge, and the last thing you want to do is leave it until the start of September, and the deadline is just a matter of days away. So the quicker you move these things, then your starting point, and then you can make your decision to move forward in your own time. So
yes,
I think we've covered everything. Anastasia, what do you think?
I think so.
Well, folks, I hope those tuning in have got a lot from that. And Anastasia, thank you so much for coming along and relaying all that information. I do think it is helpful for folk to hear it firsthand, direct from ourselves. And I do hope everybody tuning in has found it of value. Absolutely. As we've said on many occasions today, if you have any further questions, just reach out. Let us know. We are here to help. Anastasia, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure of my own as well. Delighted to be here.
Great. Well, folks, thank you everyone as well for coming along and viewing today. Until next time, bye for now.